Artistry. I'm your host, Canary T Robot, and I bring on more talented people than I am, and this guy is no exception. Earl, would you like to introduce yourself?
How's it going? My name is Earl Baylon. I am an actor and other things, mostly an actor.
So we'll just go upon the actor story. Yeah. What sort of work have you done?
A few different things, mostly commercials, a little bit of TV, video games, voiceover. I'm kind of hitting the spectrum right now. Improv. I do a lot of stage stuff, like improv-wise.
Oh, nice. So. Now, how did you get your start? What got you into acting?
Are we talking like way back, like when I caught the acting bug, or like when I started professionally?
Well, let's start with the acting bug and then talk about the professionally.
The acting bug probably started when I was in grade school. Good. We had this, the elementary school that I went to was very, into putting on, plays. We even put on a musical when I was in 7th grade. We were ambitious. But that's probably where I started, to love performing, like when I stepped on that stage in our little cafeteria.
Aww.
Yeah. And it kind of carried on. I didn't go to school for acting. I minored in theater, but I went to school for biology.
Really?
And yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
UC Irvine.
Oh, I went there too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I graduated in 2011.
Oh, wow. You are much younger. Zot zot, though.
Zot zot.
But yeah, I graduated in 2003 or 4, I can't remember. And, so I was a bio major, and I kind of kept on doing theater all throughout that, or just acting, performing, singing. I was in a choir, an a cappella group, but it was never anything serious because, just my upbringing, I never thought of performing as something you could make money at. It was something you just kind of did on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's kind of where the acting bug started in grade school.
Nice. And then when did you start professionally?
Maybe 2 or 3 years out of college. I wasn't performing, I was just working, and I was kind of going stir crazy. I couldn't, I had no outlet for any artistry. I had a roommate at the time who's also a performer, singer, songwriter kind of dude. And he had a Backstage account that he was about to cancel, and he was like, "I'm just going to look one more time." So he went to go look, and
now before you continue, what do you mean a Backstage account?
Backstage account. Backstage is a publication where it's an industry publication where it has all sorts of news about like what's going in the industry, things that are being cast. It used to be the de facto place where people would look for casting notices. That's kind of changed these days, but you would look for casting notices on their online breakdowns. So he was looking through those.
Okay.
Before he canceled, he saw this thing, a breakdown for an improv troupe, an Asian American improv troupe. So we submitted for that. Both of us did. Both of us got in, and that kind of started everything. That's where I started meeting people. I got into a sketch group also with that roommate. His name is Chris, and I met all these other people that were actually working in the industry at the time, and they kind of convinced me to take the jump, to take the plunge, and they told me like, look, you have some measure of talent. I don't know how much, but you should try it. So I did. I created an LA Casting and an Actors Access account, which are two big casting services now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I created those, and I just started submitting. And that's basically when I consider the jump into professional acting happening. So right then, when I put money into it.
So one of the things you did was you got a backstage account, an LA casting account, and what was the third one?
Actors Access.
Actors Access. Were those the ways that you got auditions, or or did you get an agent? How did that all work out?
It's really tough to get an agent right from the beginning, especially somebody that's reputable. So when people first start in the industry, um, now you sign up for those two, Actors Access and LA Casting.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be Backstage, and I mean Backstage is still around, but it's Actors Access and LA Casting are kind of the big ones. They're both casting services. What happens is every day they post breakdowns. Breakdowns are basically their spec sheets put out by casting directors that state what they're looking for in terms of actors and in terms of what roles they're casting. So you get those and you submit electronically. LA Casting is more has to do with more commercial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then LA Casting is more theatrical stuff, which is both live theater and film and TV.
Okay.
So,
and
yeah.
now, do you pay for both of those, or?
You do pay for both of them. As if I remember correctly, LA Casting is about 15 a month. I'm not sure what it is now. Once you get an agent, the pricing breakdown changes, so I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
But for Actors Access, it's 68 a year.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad actually.
It's not too bad, yeah. You book one gig and you're paid, for the year.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there are also other casting services. There's a lot actually, or just websites about casting. People pay for their IMDb Pro, Now Casting, and Casting Frontier. Those are all ones that are used
Mm-hmm.
in the industry. But LA Casting and Actors Access are a good baseline to where to start. That's where the majority of your work is going to come from.
Okay. Now, what do you post on there? Like, if you're applying for an audition or applying for a position, I'm trying to not talk in work things. If you apply for a role,
Yeah.
what do you send in? Or do you with a job, it would be a resume.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be for acting?
For acting, it's the same thing. It's a resume, but there's also a headshot attached, and sometimes a clip from your reel that is that kind of exhibits the same skills and or characters or something related to the breakdown. So like for example, on a breakdown, what you'll see is you'll see a role,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll say what they're looking for, like male 20 to 28, all ethnicities slash Caucasian slash whatever they're looking for, and then they'll give a brief description of the character, a hacker type, or the best friend type, or a guy who just got out of prison and he's looking to change his life around, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is people have a set of headshots, usually not just one. They select which one they're going to submit to that breakdown. So which headshot exhibits that character. They select their headshot, and whenever they send their headshot, it's also tied to their resume. And then you can also attach a clip from your reel that, like I said, exhibits those skills or kind of portrays or has the same qualities as a character outlined in that breakdown.
Huh. And now, I have another question
Mm-hmm.
for headshots. Did you get yours professionally done, or could you do them for free, or what do you recommend for people getting headshots?
Personally, when I first started, I I asked a friend with a camera, You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what a lot of people do. And I mean, it works. It'll get you so far. But at the end of the day, when you sit down and you throw down that money and you get a professional person, um, it can be night and day in terms of the response you get. Because if you think about it, a headshot is your calling card. It's your first step in the door. It's you know, other businesses have billboards and or flyers or whatever for an actor. For an actor, it's a headshot.
Mm-hmm.
And to actually pay for a headshot, which I eventually did maybe a couple of years ago. I know it took me a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but um, it pays. It totally pays for how much money you spend. It's totally worth it because like a professional headshot photographer will make you look good, will make your headshot pop, and you know that makes the world of difference whether or not you get called in for a role.
Huh. That's good to know. And
Yeah.
now, for the resume,
Hmm.
there's some people who will start acting but maybe have no experience. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like getting a job, like getting a job in a resume. It's like, well, I want a job, but you need.
Yeah.
So, what would you put on a resume for acting if you've never done like commercial work or theater work?
Um, it's kind of a tough question, right? In the beginning, if you really just have nothing, put your training on there. Put where you went to school, or what classes you've taken. And even if it's self-produced stuff that you put on YouTube, put that on there. One thing you do not put on your resume ever, ever, ever is extra work. Do not put extra work on your resume
Yeah,
because
I've heard that's like the call of death on a resume.
yeah, yeah, it's like the number one mark of a noob. Like, they have extra work on the resume. It makes you look like you're not serious and you're like star chasing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also put never. You actually don't put your commercials on your resume.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you put you have a commercial section, and then it's kind of an odd thing, but you put uh, conflicts available upon request or something like that. What that means is the reason you don't put commercials on your resume is because, say, you did a commercial for one company, and then another company, their direct competitor, wants to hire you. Sometimes they'll look at your resume, they'll see like, oh, he worked for this company, company A,
Oh,
and then they won't hire you because you were already in a commercial for somebody else. So that's why people put conflicts upon request. At least they can contact your agent, and the agent can explain what the situation is, you know,
that makes
rather than
sense.
just automatically rejecting you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about a reel? Like for those who like are just getting started, would you make a reel immediately or wait till you get more work? How would that work out?
Uh, if you have, preferably, of course, it's always better to have stuff that was actually produced professionally or as part of the TV show or something like that. But if you don't have any kind of that, if of that type of experience, a lot of people do make their own reels. There are a lot of services out there, a lot of companies that will shoot your reel, and make it look pretty decent. Um, so you pay them a service, you know, some kind of fee, and then they shoot your scene,
Mm-hmm.
edited and all that, and give it to you in like a little package. So, I mean, that's an option. Of course, like I said, first priority is getting stuff that looks produced well, and then if you have nothing else, produce your own stuff.
Okay. Would you recommend doing a reel to start off with, or wait until you have more professional work done,
Um,
or would you start like get a reel from the beginning?
it's good to have something up there.
Okay.
Um, but there's a caveat to that. It's good to have something up there, but um, it has to be good. So don't put any old video up. Don't put like a YouTube video of you like vlogging up. Um, I wouldn't say that would be a good thing.
Hmm.
There are people that will contest that, but I don't know. It just doesn't look good to me. So
Nah, that I can understand.
yeah.
Now, so was that how you started applying for jobs, or is there other ways? Because I've heard people, a lot of actors will take classes through, I don't, Second City or
Hmm.
uh, oh, what's that other one? Uh,
iOS, UCB.
yeah, exactly. The Upright Citizens Brigade,
Mhm.
etc., etc. What exactly do you take any classes right now, or acting classes?
I'm currently not in acting classes. I should be. You should always be. Should always be learning. But classes are a good way to network, to meet people. A lot of if you're good, you'll meet a lot of people who are also producing because it's hard to sometimes get the studio jobs. A lot of people do self-produce, and maybe they'll use you in the stuff that they're working on, so you can get real that way. Or you can just make contacts and get roles that way. Sometimes people will self-produce stuff that is union and or paid, and I mean it's always a good thing to make as many connections as you can in this industry. So yeah, classes are a good place to start.
Where have you been able to make connections outside of classes?
Outside of classes,
Or is it usually just
which
in classes?
no, there are other places like you meet people at parties, or you just hang out with people, or people that come to your shows. Um, it's kind of everywhere. Uh, if you think about it, like any kind of social situation that people would do in your normal lives, that is also it's an outlet to get work for an actor. So
Huh. Now, another question I have: do you have an agent, or
I do.
where? Do you mind if I ask where you're repped at, or is
Yeah,
that okay? Cool.
it's fine. Um,
Where you repped at?
commercially, I'm repped with um, a, an agency called KMR, Kazarian Measures Ruskin and
Mhm.
Associates, and theatrically, I'm represented by Aqua Talent.
Are they management or agent, or what is it? There's management and then there's agencies. Is that
Yes,
okay?
yeah, that's correct. So yeah, they're both agencies. Manager is a little bit different. Something I've been thinking about looking for, just to kind of shape the direction of my career a little more. But there's a difference between agents and managers. Managers kind of take care of like the overall arc of your career, and they're a little more like granular in terms of um, uh, the direction of your career.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas agents, they don't really give you um, advice in terms of the direction of the career. They get you auditions for jobs and negotiate your contracts once you book jobs.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And then, so both of the companies you just mentioned are both agencies, correct?
yeah, they're both
Okay.
agencies.
Okay. And how did you meet them or get in contact with them?
Um, well, with KMR, I was like I mentioned earlier, I was part of a sketch troupe. We used to do competitions around LA, and KMR came to one of them, and they had a couple of agents there, so they saw me and extended an invitation for a meeting, and that's how I got them. Um, so yeah, they just saw me at a show, and they were like,
Nice.
"Hey, are you looking for commercial rep?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I am." Um, And then Aqua was a different situation. Actors Access has this um, a service called Talent Link, and what it is you send out um, basically along with the breakdowns comes a kind of another listing of all the talent that are looking for representation. So all the agents see this, and they're like, if they're looking for somebody of your type, then they'll call you in. So that's how I found Aqua.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now I know there's like agencies out there that are not as reputable as other agencies. How do you know which one to choose or know which one is basically gonna rip you off or?
It's tough sometimes because a good scam artist is all. I'm not even going to say scam artist because sometimes they're not scam artists. They're just not the best agents.
Mm-hmm.
But the number one red flag is if they ask for money up front. If they ask for money up front, it's always, always, always a scam. So, like if you go into a meeting with an agent and they're like, "Oh, well, we have this service we would like you to pay for before we sign you," get the F out. There's no way they're legit. Um, Also, if you do a meeting with an agent and they say, "All right, that's cool. We need you to take new headshots," which is fine because a lot of agents ask that. But if they go, "We need you to take new headshots. You have to use this photographer, this particular photographer," it's kind of a red flag. Sometimes it might not be, but it's a red flag more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
So watch out for that. There are also kind of like agencies who have a bad rep in the community. Um, and that list sometimes changes. If you just Google scam agencies or like non-reputable agents, um, you can find a list somewhere. There's always one floating around, probably on the backstage forums. That's a good place to look. Also, there's a list of SAG franchised agencies on the SAG website, SAG-AFTRA website.
Mm-hmm.
So you could look there. That's kind of a good place to start to even make sure that they have a license to practice in the state. So
Well, that's good to know.
yeah.
Now I'm trying to think what else to ask. How do you find commercial different from theater, if you don't mind me asking?
Um, Commercial work.
Yeah,
Uh,
or theater work different from commercial work.
uh, hmm. They're kind of night and day. Yeah, the commercial work is it's really specific and it's really short in terms of how much time you're on camera. You know, you look at a TV spot and it could range anywhere from 30 seconds to 15, and your portion of the spot could be like a second long. So um, there's a lot less rehearsal with theater work. Like there's a rehearsal process. You have a script that is sometimes many pages long, and even if you don't have a huge part in that production, you're still there for most of the rehearsals, and that's usually like every night for a 2 month rehearsal process, 2 month rehearsal process or something like that. And of course, you're going to have a run. You're going to have a run that's if you're like on a big or a well-known stage, could be a few weeks, and if you're kind of producing a show, might be a couple of weekends or something like that. But it's a lot more time consuming than doing a commercial. Doing a commercial, it moves really fast. You go in for the audition, you go in for a callback. Maybe in the next week or so, you hear whether or not you book it, and like the next day, you're in wardrobe, and then you shoot a couple of days after that. You're in from 2 to 12 hours, depending on how intensive this commercial is, and then you never see these people again, usually. So it's kind of like you go in and you knock it out and you're out. With theater, it's like it's a process. So
Oh wow, you weren't kidding. They really are night and day.
yeah.
Now, what's a typical day like for you as an actor?
As an actor, it's a lot of waiting. Usually, like I'll wake up and one of the first things I'll do is go over the breakdowns on Actors Access. I usually don't look through the breakdowns on LA Casting because it's all commercial work, and my agents are pretty on top of that. Camera is pretty on top of that. But with theatrical work, like a theatrical agent isn't going to look for uh, like student films or like really small independent like student films for you. So I'm still looking to do that stuff. So I check the breakdowns every day theatrically on Actors Access. Then I make my submissions. Uh,
You still do student films? Because I mean, I've done like I went to film school.
mhm.
Uh, funny enough, I went to two schools: UC Irvine for English, USC for film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, weirdly enough. Um, and I noticed with like film students, they don't pay their actors, so you don't mind doing unpaid work.
Um, it depends on what I see in the breakdown and kind of if I get my hands on the script.
Hmm.
Um, I, and because I'm union, I can only do stuff that's union.
That's
So
true.
yeah. And there's some kind of compensation. If it's a student film, like then there are the waivers and stuff. But I mean, if it sounds like a good project and the role sounds like really interesting, then yeah, I'm all for doing student film. I mean, part of the reality is like like a noobish actor, I'm not huge. I'm not like I'm not like star level. I have my star meter rating is like whatever. Nobody knows who I am
Hmm.
basically. But at this level, sometimes the most interesting and like meaty roles you're going to get to do um, in student films because nobody's going to hire you for that huge like really like the roles that Daniel Day-Lewis or like Heath Ledger might have gotten. Nobody's going to hire you for those as a starting out actor, but you're going to get to play some of that in maybe indie films or student films. So I mean, I'm always on the lookout for that kind of stuff.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to, sorry, I did like, I just went from like, oh, telling you about, you were talking about your day, and then I'm like, wait, I got another question.
Oh
So,
no, that's cool.
go ahead about,
Oh,
besides what you do. So you look on, uh, uh,
the
LA
breakdowns
casting,
or
breakdowns.
actors access. Yeah.
There we go. Actors Access. Wow. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah, I know it kind of is.
So you will look at breakdowns. What will you do after that?
Um, and depending on this is usually, I mean, like if I have an audition that day, I live in Long Beach, so
Hmm.
if I do have an audition that day, I leave 2 hours before my audition to get to LA on time because you got to look for parking and all that stuff. I'll go to that audition. You're in there for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and then I drive back down to Long Beach. Um, I try to keep up with my social. Then I try to keep up with my social media, like the people that I have connections with on Twitter. I also try to keep on writing, create, writing, creating content, um, finish the scripts that I have sitting on my desktop. I do that, and then what else do I do? Kind of on a daily basis. It really changes. Sometimes I actually also run my improv troupe, so sometimes I will deal with administrative stuff in terms of that, setting up rehearsals, setting up shows. Um, yeah, it's kind of it. I eat stuff, burritos usually.
Burritos
Mm,
are good.
burritos.
I just had pancakes, so I'm good right now.
I had a pita, so
Oh, God. Okay, okay, no. I shouldn't. I I could if you gave me food, I'd just keep eating and eating.
yeah, I know, same here.
Uh, So, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Because we're getting near the end. So, do you have any advice to any upcoming or wannabe actors?
Yeah. Kind of do everything you can. Um, and not just means, I mean, like, go out to, or like work stuff that you get cast in, but create your own stuff. If that means, and on any level, if that means creating stuff for YouTube, if that means creating stuff like theater shows, writing your own shows, doing one mans, doing sketch, just keep working even if nobody's hiring you, because that's what's going to keep you going through what people like to call the lean times.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep kind of sharpening your skills and keeping your chops sharp, then when that big chance does come, when that big audition does come, you'll be ready. Instead of like sitting around and languishing, you'll be on your game.
That is
So.
good. That is good advice.
I try. Thanks.
Where can we find you?
The easiest place to find me is earlbaylon.com. That's my website. Everything is kind of linked from there. My Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, that's like the hub for everything Earl Baylon, if you care about that. But that's the easiest place to find me.
Oh, I care. Trust me, I care.
Yay!
Somebody cares about
I know.
me.
Somebody cares. I'm going to blog about this. I will, though. I mean, about the podcast. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This podcast is a part of the Benview Network.
You can find this and other podcasts like it at BenviewNetwork.com.